talk to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to This Week in Marketing, brought to you by the San Diego chapter of the American Marketing Association.
Welcome. This is your host, Bill Wynn. We're kicking off another hour of This Week in Marketing. I'm joined once again by my colleague, Sam Wheeler. Good morning, Sam.
Good morning.
This morning, we're going to be talking about video marketing best practices with Mike Towe, T-O-W-E, of M2 Digital Post. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. Thanks for joining us. Before I interrogate Mike, I'm just going to remind folks of something coming up on our schedule with AMA San Diego. It is our AMA San Diego SEO Bootcamp 2018. This is the first time we've done this event. A handful of spots remain. There are only 25 spots total. This event will sell out. It is June 13th. At UC San Diego Extension. It's a full day of SEO basics and also an analysis on your domain. So when you register, you'll give us your domain. We'll complete that analysis and then share with you priorities and actions to take to optimize your site for visibility in Google and other search engines.
And it's going to be fun, too.
It's not going to be all work. Thank you, Sam, for reminding me. So, again, that's June 13th. Register at sdama.org. And like I said, there's only 25 total spots. It will sell out, so please take advantage of this exclusive opportunity. So, Mike, thanks again for joining us. You actually lead our video special interest group, right? And you just had your first event. How was that?
Correct. I am facilitating the video marketing SIG. We had our first event 2 weeks ago over at UCSD Extension. It was a great turnout. I'm hoping that we continue to get those good turnouts. We're currently doing it on a quarterly basis. If the good turnout continues, we're going to move it to a monthly basis. The first meeting, we talked about some ideas, some tips and tricks on how to make your DIY, your do-it-yourself video look a little bit better, sound a little bit better, things like that.
Okay. So I imagine we'll be covering some of that same ground here today. So apologies to attendees if there's some overlapping material, but lots of folks are interested in video and how to do it properly and how to improve at it. So we're glad to have Mike in the studio today. So Mike, you're with M2 Digital Post. What does M2 Digital Post do? Help folks understand.
So M2 Digital Post is my production company. We do video production, we do communication, and we do every part of the process. So we can do from creative all the way to delivery, or we can slide in at any point in that process. If you just need somebody to come out and shoot stuff, we can do that. If you just need post-production or editing, we can do that. If you just need creative, we can do that. So we try to cover the whole gamut of production and communication.
Right on. So, and what is your background? How did you get into video?
Oh, okay. So this is an interesting story. I got into the film and video production industry through the time-honored tradition of driving a dump truck for a living.
I've heard that's a common pathway.
Yeah. I basically got out of high school, married my high school sweetheart, and started working in construction. I drove dump trucks. I was also worked as a laborer, but I had always had an interest in doing production. I'd always had an interest in film and television. I was that kid that spent 4 years in drama classes during high school. So I was always doing something on the side. And in the early 90s, the construction industry was kind of having a hard time in San Diego. There wasn't a lot of work happening. And so I decided to heck with it. I would just go take some of the money I had saved up, buy an edit system, buy a camera, and start my own production company. I did that for a few years, doing a lot of event stuff, a lot of wedding stuff, things like that. A little bit of corporate here and there. And then I got very, very lucky in the mid-90s. Qualcomm was looking to bring somebody in-house to run an edit system that they had just purchased, didn't quite know what they were doing with it. And it was the same edit system that I had. I knew it really well. I was actually doing training for other people that had purchased the system in town. So Qualcomm hired me on in 1995, and I spent 9 years in-house at Qualcomm doing corporate video for them. And then in 2004, Qualcomm decided, look, we're not in the video production business, we're in the engineering business, we're just going to outsource this stuff. And at that point I said, great, sell me an edit system, outsource the work to me. And that's how I started M2 Digital Post back in 2004. We still do a fair amount of work for Qualcomm, but have expanded the client base as well into doing a bunch of different things.
Mm-hmm. And what types of videos do you work on for your corporate clients?
We work on all kinds of things. Let me see. I'm currently working on a project for a large electrical contractor in town called Helix Electric, and those are recruiting videos because they're trying to recruit talent. Prior to that, I worked for a company that did smart parking meters. So we did a bunch of instructional videos on how to fix the parking meters, how to replace parts in it. Another job I recently worked on was a television commercial for Epic Wings and things. So it really covers the gamut. That's one thing that's kind of cool about my job is from day to day, it's different. I'm going to be working on all kinds of different things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. So video is very popular now and seems to be like increasing in popularity. What is it that's so great about video, right? Why are brands driven to produce video? Why are consumers driven to watch video? What is it about video that's so great?
I think it's a combination of a lot of things. Most importantly, with video, you can get a much more engaged emotional impact with your future client, with your possible customer base. If you're looking for people to trust what you do, it's so much easier to get that across in video, right? You get the full picture, you get the audio, you get the sound, you get the expression on the person's face when they're telling you about something. It's just more impactful, it's more engaging. And I also think that video is becoming, it's the new form of literacy. When you go to a website, if there's a chunk of text or a video to watch, what are you doing? You're watching the video. You're not reading through a big bunch of text. And that's becoming even more and more popular and will continue to become more and more popular as we move on. I mean, people they watch video.
Mm-hmm. And so are there things that video can accomplish that no other medium can accomplish? I mean, I guess there's a place for everything, right? There's times when you use copy, there's times when you use audio, like this podcast, for example, but there's also times that you select video. So what is it that video can accomplish that other mediums or channels don't so well?
I think, again, it's emotional engagement. People will engage more with the video. And the reason that emotional engagement is important is because people make buying decisions. They make purchasing decisions based on emotion. I was reading an article over the weekend of a guy that did a study on people who had suffered some type of injury where they couldn't feel emotion anymore. And they found that those people couldn't make decisions anymore because decisions are driven by emotion. And I think video will engage that emotional aspect better than any other medium out there.
Right, that makes sense. So, I mean, my belief is that video use is if anything increasing and is pretty huge right now in terms of volume of it occurring in marketing. Is that a correct assumption? I mean, do you see statistics out there that kind of validate that assumption on my part?
I think it's absolutely a correct assumption. And some of the research that I was doing over the weekend, Q4 2017, YouTube, 66 billion views, and that's up 52% from Q3 in 2017. In Q4, Facebook, 212 billion views. That's up 59% from Q3 of 2017. So yeah, it's continuing to be a growing trend. It's going to even be more growing. Some of the other statistics, millennials, 47% less TV watching than adults 35 and over, excuse me. Teens, 64% less TV watching than adults 35 and over. So as that younger generation starts coming of age, it's going to have even more need for video.
And are there correlations between the growth of mobile devices and the use of video, right? Is that, you think that trend is something that's driving video usage?
Yeah, absolutely. That's where the vast majority of videos are being watched is mobile. Facebook's a huge place where people are watching video.
Mm-hmm. And so what are some of the things that, and this is, we'll have to answer this question kind of quickly. We've got a minute left here. What are some of the things that video is best used to communicate? What types of videos, right, make the most sense? And I guess at what point in the buyer's journey or in the funnel are different kinds of video applicable?
Got it. And you know what? I'm going to kind of use this as an opportunity to tease our next meeting that's coming up on July 18th. I've got Tammy Dungan-Hurd from Campaign Creators.
Yep.
She's coming out to give a speech. She's going to talk a little bit about how video can be used and at what points in the funnel that you should use it. So please feel free to come out to that. It's going to be on July 18th. We're trying to get UCSD Extension's offices once again to do it. A short answer is it basically supports all of the points in the funnel, and there's just different types of video and different quality levels that you need.
Okay, great. So we'll return talking about video marketing best practices here on This Week in Marketing with AMA San Diego. You're listening to WSRadio.com, the worldwide leader in Internet talk.
A podcast or radio show on WS Radio is a great way to create content marketing. Turn prospects into customers into raving fans. Contact Wade at WSRadio.com or call 866-WS-RADIO.
Hi, this is Rob Barnett, CEO and founder of VinVillage.com and the Wine and Dine Show on Vin Village Radio. Do you have a wine, event, product, or service to promote? Then contact VinVillage.com to reach thousands of wine lovers across the country. VinVillage connects like-minded wine enthusiasts with unique and exclusive wines, events, products, and services. To learn more, contact us on VinVillage.com. VinVillage is where wine lovers connect.
I raised $8,000 to build schools for South African children.
After realizing how many people go hungry in San Diego, I now volunteer at a food pantry.
I'm spending the next year doing volunteer projects across 3 countries and helping in ways they designate to be the most helpful.
The World Link program at the Joan B. Kroc Institute for Peace and Justice recognizes the potential of youth as agents of social change. Learn how you can help youth become a generation of leaders in action at peace.sandiego.edu.
One person has the power to change the world, impact millions of lives, and leave a legacy for lifetimes to come. That person is you. In the New York Times bestseller, What is Your What? Steve Olsher, award-winning author and founder of the Reinvention Workshop, reveals his proven process that has helped thousands of men and women discover, share, and monetize the one thing they were born to do. Grab your free copy now at www.whatisyourwhat.com/free. That's www.whatisyourwhat.com/free.
Take a break from politics. Tune in and learn something. WS Radio shows are worth your time and are filled with tips and advice. Add us to your lunch routine, and we'll give you a meal for your mind.
You take your smartphone almost everywhere you go. Now WSRadio.com can be there too. Search WS Radio in the Play Store for your Android devices or iTunes for Apple and download the WS Radio application. WSRadio.com on your phone and in your ear everywhere you go. Download the WS Radio application. Do it now. It's very easy. WSRadio.com.
Small businesses are the lifeblood of America's economy. Every Thursday, SBA Radio interviews industry professionals and is dedicated to provide small businesses with timely insights and innovations. Visit www.sbaradio.us for details.
Talk to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to This Week in Marketing, brought to you by the San Diego chapter of the American Marketing Association.
Thanks for joining us this morning. This is your host, Bill Wynn. Today we are talking video marketing best practices with Mike Toe of M2 Digital Post. Mike, so let's say you're either a small local business or an enterprise brand. You're going to produce a video, whether it's a promotional video or a training video, right? An explainer video. When do you hire a pro versus trying to do it yourself?
I think the most important differentiator there of when you want to start bringing in a professional is the quality of that video going to reflect the quality of your product, the quality of your company, the quality of your message. That's when you need to bring in professional talent. So if you're doing something, like say it's a product launch, right? And you want to do a product launch video, that stuff has to look nice because people are going to associate the quality of your product with the quality of that video. If you're doing customer testimonials, bring in a professional to do that. However, there is a lot of things that you can do that you don't need to hire a professional for. Things based around events. Just those weekly touch points with your customers. Those things can be handled with a Facebook live stream, stuff like that. I'm kind of an advocate of companies nowadays having somebody internal that can do all of those small one-off quick stuff to feed their social media feeds, things like that, and then coming to outside sources when it comes to that heavier lift stuff, product demos, customer testimonials, trade show videos, things like that. Mm-hmm. So there's a place for both levels of it.
Sure, that makes sense. So when people do produce their own content via video, what are some of the mistakes that you see them make that leaves room for improvement in their output?
The biggest mistake that anyone makes when doing video is not paying attention to the audio. Audio is the one thing that will make your video look amateurish quicker than anything else. And the quickest way to fix that is just get a microphone. Get a microphone that you can get close to your talent. You can pick them up on Amazon for as little as $20. They'll plug right into your iPhone or your Android, and it takes that audio just to the next level. It makes it sound 100 times better because the audio is the data of your information, or the data of your communication. It's the information you're trying to communicate to your audience. And if that audio is not good, they're just going to tune out. People will put up with mediocre video. They will not put up with mediocre audio. So get a microphone. That's my first tip.
Okay, and so what kind of microphone is that? Are we talking like a lapel microphone? What do we call that in the trade?
Yeah, it's just a little lavalier microphone. It just clips on the lapel. Works brilliantly.
Okay. Are there also like directional microphones people can get, or is that really the best solution?
There are directional microphones, but I wouldn't use that. I would use a lavalier mic. The best example I can give you on you need to get the microphone close to the person that's talking. Mm-hmm. I want you to imagine for a moment in your mind if you turn a flashlight on and point it against a wall. If the flashlight's really close, you're going to have this bright spot in the middle, and then there's sort of the light falls off. If you think of that bright spot as that really good audio, and everything that's falling off is all of the junk, all of the room noise, all of the the air conditioner, all that stuff. Now, if you take that mic that flashlight and you start to pull pull it away from the wall, you'll see that hot spot in the middle gets smaller and smaller, but all of that ambient noise around the edges of it, that part of the light gets bigger and bigger. So the farther you move that microphone away, the more ambient noise you get in there, the harder it is to hear the person that's speaking. So get that little lavalier clip-on mic, get it really close to their voice, and that's going to just that will make your video so much better. And it's a $20 expenditure.
Are those microphones always wired, right? Do they always connect with the phone, for example, or are there wireless? Are there Bluetooth versions that also work?
You can get wireless versions. They're going to be more expensive. If you're thinking about budget, just go with the wired one. They're going to be cheap and they're going to be great.
Okay, all right. How about lighting? Right? How much of an effect do your lighting decisions have on the quality of your output?
They're going to have a lot of different. They're going to do a lot for your quality. And one of the tips that we talked about at the last meeting was go to IKEA. IKEA has these China balls. They're inexpensive. And when I say a China ball, what it looks like is like a big round lantern that has a light inside of it. And the beauty of these things is that they've got fabric on the outside, so it softens the light out. So you're going to have this nice soft light on your face. Go get one of those. They're inexpensive. Hang it in front of you, and yeah, that'll help the look of your video a lot more.
Do you need more than one of those to kind of balance out the light? Like, how do you position something like that?
So you normally want to position that light in front of the talent and off to one side or the other. You can get two to help any of the harder shadows that fall on the opposite side of the face from where the light is, but you don't need it. You can just use one. If you're getting too many harsh shadows, kind of walk that light back around to the front of them instead of the side, so it'll flatten out the face a little more. You can also use a piece of foam core that you can get at Michael's or any craft store to kind of bounce some of that light into the other side of the person's face.
Okay. I'm kind of envisioning this China ball you mentioned kind of right next to the phone, essentially, right next to the camera. Is that pretty much how you'd use it?
Yeah. If you put it right next to the camera, then it's going to be a nice flat light on their face because it's more towards the front of their face. And then if you walk it around to one side or the other, you can see how it's going to throw a little more shadow, a little more drama into the lighting.
What other best practices can you recommend to folks in terms of video production? Like, how do they integrate music, for example? How do they think about music?
Well, the first thing to think about with music is no, you can't just go and grab your most favorite popular song and throw it on your video because that's copyright infringement. I do have clients that want to do that from time to time, and I have to talk them out of it and tell them, look, you don't want to do this. But there are places on the internet where you can get music to use in your production for pretty low cost. One of them that I use a lot is premiumbeat.com. Premium Beat, if you're just doing stuff going to the internet, it's $50 a song to use it. It's good quality music. Another one's Audio Jungle. There's a bunch of places out there where you can get that kind of music.
Is this original music, right? Or is it like public domain music? How should people think about it?
It's not public domain. It is original music that's just being sold through these websites, but it gives you the license to use that music. You're not buying the song, you're buying the license to use it in your production.
Okay, and are there any limitations to how you can use it? How many views you can have, or is it unlimited? Or is it distribution based, like how you know what I mean, how you put it out in the world?
There's different limitations based on the different sites that you are going to buy from, but they'll all have a licensing agreement that you can look through, and it'll tell you what you can use it for. Nowadays, it's pretty wide open. You can use this stuff for the vast majority of things that you're doing, but do make sure you read that licensing agreement so you know what you can and can't use it for.
Yeah, and talk about the relationship between the music you pick and the purpose of the video, right? The emotion you're trying to achieve, the attachment you're trying to achieve. How does that work?
Got it. You use the right word, and that's emotion. Music is emotion in any video that you're putting it into. The dialogue, what the person's saying, that's the data, that's the information. The music is the emotion of it. So if you're working with a production company or if you're doing your own production, when you want a piece of music, you have to think of describing that music with emotion. I don't want a client to tell me I want something more edgy. That's not an emotion. You need to tell me I want something that makes it sad. I want something that makes it upbeat, inspirational, happy. That's the words that we use in the production world to describe the type of music that we want. So yeah, music is emotion. Think of it that way.
Okay, and then how about staging? Like, what do you recommend as kind of like the background to a video shoot that someone would do themselves?
So the worst thing that people do is they stand themselves against a white wall and point a camera at their face. And that there is no quicker way to make you look like you're in a mugshot than to stand against a white wall and point a camera in your face. So think of ways to get depth into your shot. The camera is very much a one-eyed idiot. And what I mean by that is there's no depth perception in a camera. That's why, you see the picture of somebody standing in the park with their hand held out and their friend's 200 yards behind them, and it looks like they're standing in their hand, like they have a little miniature friend. That's because the camera has no depth. So you want to try and do things that can increase make it look like it has depth, right? So some of those things are, if you're standing against that white wall, just take yourself and turn yourself 45 degrees. So now the white wall falls off into the background. That will give depth to your video. If you can get a light behind somebody to just light the back of their hair and their shoulders, it'll put like a little rim of light around them, and that little rim of light gives the feeling of depth because it separates them from the background.
Okay, we'll stop there. Return for segment 3. You're listening to This Week in Marketing on WSRadio.com, the worldwide leader in Internet talk.
Is a nonprofit organization focused on cybersecurity awareness and education. Formed in 2011, their mission is to enable every San Diegan to live, work, and play safely in the cyber world. For more information, visit securingorecity.org or call 619-630-2444. Securingorecity.org, 619-630-2444. Securingorecity.org.
Tired of presentations with no impact, no inspiration, and no traction? Do dull speakers have you and your team disengaged and distracted by smartphones? Christopher McAuliffe brings energy, insights, and 2 decades of experience, delivered with punch, humor, and heart. Your team will leave energized, uplifted, and with a sense of purpose. Visit ChristopherMcAuliffe.com to bring some heat to your next speaking engagement. McAuliffe. ChristopherMcAuliffe.com.
Take a break from politics. Tune in and learn something. WS Radio shows are worth your time and are filled with tips and advice. Add us to your lunch routine, and we'll give you a meal for your mind.
Kinja Dixon was crowned the #1 sales executive through hard work, deep thinking, and the revelation of universal talk laws. He now wants to share these lessons with you. Universal talk laws are what you need to know and use in business and at home to have successful and effective conversations. Kinja Dixon shares his wisdom, action plans, and wealth. Each book comes with a chance to win $10,000. Find Universal Talk Laws at KinjaDixon.com.
Do you want to be a professional coach? Are you in business trying to make a real difference with people you manage or work with? Have you started a coaching practice that isn't quite getting off the ground? Get the skills you need to be a successful coach today with the Coaches Training Program from Accomplishment Coaching. The Coaches Training Program will show you how to help others focus and be more fulfilled. Whether you want to improve your company's bottom line or create a thriving coaching practice, Accomplishment Coaching can give you the distinctions and practices you need to coach others effectively today. Accomplishment Coaching has spent 6 years developing a cutting-edge coaches training program that will have you ready to coach people professionally in just 12 months, and you don't have to take time off work to do it. To find out more about the coaches training program, just call 1-888-548-6813. That's 1-888-548-6813.
Small businesses are the lifeblood of America's economy. Every Thursday, SBA Radio interviews industry professionals and is dedicated to provide small businesses with timely insights and innovations. Visit www.sbaradio.us for details.
Talk to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to This Week in Marketing, brought to you by the San Diego chapter of the American Marketing Association.
We're back. This is your host, Bill Wynn. Thanks for joining us for another hour of This Week in Marketing. We are talking to Mike Tao. He just reminded me correct pronunciation is Tao, not Toe. I've been screwing that up. My apologies, Mike.
Everybody messes that one up, so don't worry.
That's cool. Thanks for the leeway. So Mike is with M2 Digital Post. He is a longtime friend to AMA San Diego. In fact, his team just videoed our Art of Marketing conference last week. So, Mike, we appreciate that and look forward to seeing your output from that exciting day. So we're talking today video marketing best practices, and we were, in fact, just talking best practices. We covered lighting, we covered staging, we covered sound. How about editing, Mike? How should people think about editing their videos? What is the right technology people should be looking to do this on their own?
So there's a couple of different technologies out there for doing your editing. I'm not as well versed on the lower end stuff because I tend to work on the higher end stuff, although higher end is not as high end as it used to be. But if you're on a Mac platform, iMovie, which ships with the OS, is a great little application to use. On the PC side, there is Premiere Elements, which is a great little application to use. If you find that iMovie is not giving you enough for what you want to do editing, you can always step that up to Final Cut Pro on the Mac side. And to be honest with you, Final Cut Pro is $300, and the amount of power that you get out of it is pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm. How about in terms of production? How about the idea of people being still versus a lot of movement, right? Having the camera try to follow action around. Is that something that's really hard for people to produce on their own?
It's getting easier these days because you've got a lot of gimbals and stuff out there now where you can really get that nice steady cam kind of smooth movement to it. So yeah, I mean, moving the camera, there has to be a motivation. There has to be a reason for it, right? Mm-hmm. Let's say you're doing, you're doing a tour of your plant, right? Then, yeah, that's the perfect opportunity to be moving that camera through as the host is pointing things out and showing things. Mm-hmm. So, but there just has to be a motivation for it. Don't move the camera just because you can move the camera. Mm-hmm. Have a reason for it. It's got to be part of telling that story.
Mm-hmm. But does like zooming in or out communicate anything in particular? Like, would you use kind of changing the depth of your subject as a way to kind of emphasize a point?
I would use a slow zoom in on something that's very emotional, that you're trying to really draw the viewer in. A nice slow zoom in will work well for that. And nowadays, we tend to do a lot of that stuff in post-production as opposed to when we're actually shooting it. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One of them is that nowadays, most of our cinema cameras are using prime lenses as opposed to zoom lenses. lenses, so you physically cannot zoom the camera. The other reason that we're doing it nowadays is we're shooting a lot of stuff in higher resolution. So like everything that we shoot in 4K or higher, and most of our deliverables, 99% of our deliverables, are still in a full HD, a 1920 by 1080 window. So what does that mean for us in post? It means that we can zoom into the image 200% without losing any quality. So it's a great tool for us in post-production because, for one, we can get 2 shots in one shot, right? If I shoot a wider shot of you, like a medium close-up, I can now push in 200%. I can zoom in 200%. So in that one shot, I now have a medium close-up and I have a close-up. And then again, we can also use it to kind of push in and do those slow zooms.
Okay. How about distribution channel or purpose, right? People can use video on television, on the web, on social media, right? On YouTube. How does the distribution channel impact the decisions you make in terms of design and production?
On the design and production side, it doesn't really affect the way that we're shooting the video that much. But there's some things that we do have to keep in mind. If we're going to Facebook with it, if we're going to Instagram with it, you absolutely have to do subtitles. 85% of Facebook videos are watched with the sound off. So you've got to have those subtitles there. There's a few ways to get those subtitles. The cheapest way to do it, but takes a little bit more time, is to just upload your video to YouTube. YouTube will go in and do a transcription of it. It will do it fairly poorly, so you're going to have to go back in there and do some adjusting and make sure that everything's correct. But once you've done that, you can then download the subtitle file from YouTube and then use that subtitle file to upload with your Facebook videos. I believe you have to have a Facebook business account to upload those subtitles, but you have to have the subtitles there. A paid version that's on the Apple side of the world is it's a cloud application called SpeedScriber. It's available on the Apple App Store, but it's 50 cents a minute for your transcription, but you basically upload it to the cloud. It does the transcription, brings it back down in a file type that you can then upload to your social media sites. Okay, so subtitles are huge, right? Anything else about the form factor? Like, let's say you're gonna distribute using Instagram, right? Which is a square container, so to speak, right? How do you accommodate that? What I have done is I still produce it at the same horizontal, that 16:9 aspect ratio. What I wind up doing is then taking that and letterboxing top and bottom. And I'll usually use the top space for logo recognition, for brand recognition, and the bottom space, I'm actually putting the subtitles down there, and you have to create the subtitles and bake them into the video. Because at this point, there's no way to upload a subtitle file to Instagram. So you actually have to bake it into the video. You have to make it as like a title within your edit system, bake it in, and then upload the whole thing. As far as Square video goes, I'm not a huge fan of Square video. I know it's taking off more and more on social media. I think it depends on what you're producing. If you have something that can be centered up, a good example of this is like the Tasty videos. Square video works for them because you're looking at somebody making something that's in the center of the frame, and it works for Square. But a lot of other things, I don't think Square video works that well. So I tend to still produce in 16:9. If we have to, we can crop into sections of the screen, but I don't like to. We see the world in a horizontal plane, and so I am continuing to produce that.
Yeah, that makes sense. How about, and we talked about this earlier, the amount of video viewed on mobile screens, right? What impact does knowing that your video is likely to be viewed on a phone have on production, or is it none? Is it all kind of a post consideration?
It's more of a post consideration. Actually, in my business, a lot of things are being more and more offloaded into post production. Yeah, it's more of a post consideration. Again, the subtitles are important. Think about what you're going to do right off the top on your video, because people are not watching video for very long unless you can engage them. Some of the stats that I found this weekend: 43% decide in under 15 seconds whether they're going to watch more than 15 seconds. 73% in 30 seconds or less. So if you've got some 30-second bumper at the front of your video with all of your branding, nobody's going to watch whatever else you're saying, right? So don't spend a lot of time with, branding and logos up front, because people are tuning out quick. So you got to hook them right off the top.
Yeah, you have to deliver some value right at the get-go, don't you?
Yep.
How about, I still see people, and maybe this is just a social thing, but I still see people shooting video with their phone held vertically, right? This is a no-no, isn't it? Don't we want to turn our phones, landscape?
If you ask me, the answer is yes. But, I'm a 51-year-old guy. So those kids, as soon as they get off my lawn, need to turn their videos sideways. It's not going to happen. People are going to shoot vertical video. There's really no way around it. So, yeah, just embrace it. Get used to it, because it's going to be there.
Okay, fair enough. So we're going to, in the final segment here, we're going to be talking about brands using video successfully, right? Whether it's large, well-known national brands, international brands, or local companies you've worked with. But in general, firms that you see using video successfully, right? What kind of common threads do you see in terms of the firms that are successful with it?
Common threads are using humor very well. And humor's a bit of a dangerous thing to use, because humor is one of those things that's very personal to some people. Some certain things make certain people laugh. You're not always going to catch everybody, but humor's big. And emotion. If you can get them with some type of emotional hook, they will watch. They'll watch if there's emotion there.
Okay. And is emotion risky like humor is? Can it backfire?
I think anything can backfire, but I think emotion is less possible to backfire, just because we know when it comes to dramatic emotion, when it comes to things that inspire, things that make you sad, we know what those things are.
Okay. We'll be right back for our final segment. You're listening to This Week in Marketing with WSRadio.com, the worldwide leader in Internet talk.
You take your smartphone almost everywhere you go. Now WSRadio.com can be there too. Search WS Radio in the Play Store for your Android devices or iTunes for Apple, and download the WS Radio application. WSRadio.com, on your phone and in your ear everywhere you go. Download the WS Radio application. Do it now. It's very easy. WSRadio.com.
On the internet, your business's reputation can be unjustly destroyed in an instant. Don't wait for that to happen. Building and marketing your 5-star reputation can increase your business by as much as 19%. Take control of your reputation and have the 5-star reputation you deserve with Reputation Marketing Solutions by DSI Development. Become the go-to company by visiting 5starrepmarketing.com. The number 5starrepmarketing.com.
Nowadays, internet devices are an integral part of your home. Everyone in your family has a smartphone, tablet, or a computer. Life is easier knowing that all your devices are secured and your family can surf the internet carefree. ESET Multi-Device Security Pack does just that. One license for all your devices. With ESET, it's simple to stay protected and save money. Enjoy safer technology with ESET Multi-Device Security Pack at ESET.com. That's ESET.com.
You may have heard me brag about Progressive Medical Center and just how much they've helped me with my health. And Dr. Goley, one thing that you have helped so many people with is migraines.
Unfortunately, there are millions and millions of Americans who are suffering with migraines and headaches, and they're debilitating because it affects the quality of their life, and they cannot function properly. At Progressive, we get to the root cause because we understand that migraines could be caused by nutritional deficiencies, hormonal imbalances, believe it or not, delayed food sensitivities. And once we determine what the real reason is, we put a plan of action together with medication that we get them off slowly, and we put them on an all-natural approach, and the results are amazing.
Incredible. I mean, there's so many people that can say they don't live their lives with migraines anymore thanks to Progressive Medical Center.
And that's what's exciting and rewarding to us as physicians, because we help our patients take control of their health, and that's why they're living well.
Why don't you get a hold of Progressive Medical Center today? Don't live in pain. Don't have migraines anymore. Just go to their website, progressivemedicalcenter.com.
This is your life. Live it well.
Did you know the majority of radio listeners are between the ages of 35 and 54, have a household income of more than $100,000, are classified as executives or professionals, and share the show they listen to? Become part of the Peggy Smedley Show to reach listeners looking for information on connected devices through cost-effective radio commercials or segment sponsorships. Contact us at 630-933-0844 for more information, or visit PeggySmedleyShow.com.
Talk to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to This Week in Marketing, brought to you by the San Diego chapter of the American Marketing Association.
Welcome back. This is your host, Bill Wynn. This is our final segment talking about video marketing best practices with Mike Tao of M2 Digital Post. So, Mike, when we left off, we were just starting to touch on large brands, well-known national brands, and even smaller local brands using video successfully. So can you share with us some examples of brands that you see out in the world really leveraging video to its full capability and the full benefit of their campaigns?
Yeah, a couple of brands that I've seen that I really love what they're doing, and the reason that I really love it is what they're doing with it is they're telling a story. Nowadays, you need to tell a story in your video. You can't just put your CEO in front of a camera and have him and her yammer on about facts. You have to have some type of a story to it. So a couple of those brands, Purina, in the last couple of years, they did their puppyhood campaign, which if you are not familiar with, you need to be familiar with. Just go Google Purina puppyhood. It's a story of a guy that buys a puppy and the relationship that he has with this puppy. And of course, it's a King Charles Spaniel, which is like the most adorable puppy you could ever buy. So watch that. The other one is Dove. Dove did this Choose Beautiful campaign that is just absolutely amazing. They basically took to entrances to a building and they put signs up, and one said average and one said beautiful. And it's the story around women that decided to choose either the beautiful side or the average side. And it's absolutely brilliantly done. So Dove Choose Beautiful campaign, take a look at that. Chobani. Chobani did a partnership with Tasty. I know most people are probably familiar with the Tasty videos. They're like recipes that all pop up on your Facebook feed right and left. Chobani did a partnership with them to use some of Chobani yogurt to do some of these tasty recipes. And that was just a pretty amazing campaign. And to that, this is a good point to remember that if you're going to put something out there on video, try and have something on the other side to kind of back up that video. So like, for instance, the Chobani campaign, there's also a place where you can go on the web and get the recipe for what they have done. Mm-hmm. So make sure that there's, follow-up information. On the local side, some of the brands that I've worked with, I've done a fair amount of work for American National Investments, and That's a long name for a company that owns a bunch of different restaurant properties in town. So Harvest is one of their properties. It's down by Petco Park. They're an interesting situation where they have like a grab-and-go store on the bottom floor, but the top floor is all restaurant and bar. But people weren't realizing that there was a restaurant and bar there. So we went in and did a bunch of just lifestyle beauty shots in there that they now play on a television in that lower space to educate people that they can go upstairs and get a bar and a full service restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
They also have they launched a subscription for coffee from their one property, which is Swell Coffee, and it was a subscription base, so you can get your coffee to you once a month. And we went in and produced a piece for them that kind of highlighted their whole story, what they're about. What else have we done for them? Bow Beach. They have a restaurant down in Mission Beach that serves these things called bows, and it's like a fluffy Asian food taco. It's hard to explain.
Mm-hmm.
Go to bowbeacheats.com and you can see the video there.
Okay.
But we did a video for them to try and help educate people about what they are.
Mm-hmm.
On the more emotional side, I did a piece for Sullivan Solar Power last year. Interesting story because they're a solar power company, right? And so they don't think that they have an emotional story to tell.
And there's a lot of solar power companies out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of competition in that space. So hard to differentiate.
Right. So instead of just delivering facts, we kept talking about we need some type of an emotional story to do. They found a guy by the name of Juan Dominguez who lives up in Temecula. Juan is a former Marine. He was in Afghanistan, stepped on an IED. Triple amputee, lost both legs almost at the hip and one arm. The story behind this that I would have never known had I not been part of this was because he doesn't have much surface area left in his body, his blood has a hard time cooling. So this guy runs very, very hot. He lives in Temecula. He has to run the air conditioner constantly. He has $600-800 electrical bills. Sullivan donated a solar power system to him that was going to save him over $130,000 over the next 20 years. That's our emotional story. Mm-hmm. We went in and we told that story. We did not make it about Sullivan. We didn't make it about Sullivan Solar Power, other than to at one point say we're giving him a system, right? It had emotional impact.
Yeah. So how long is that video?
One, off the top of my head, I believe is between 2 and 3 minutes.
Okay. And so how much of that time is actually spent talking about Sullivan Solar?
Oh, maybe 20 seconds, 10, 20 seconds at the most.
Yeah.
It's not about Sullivan Solar. It's about Juan Dominguez.
Mm-hmm.
But that emotion, that feeling you get for him is now transferred on to Sullivan Solar Power. And you think of them with emotion as opposed to just, here's a guy that can put solar panels on my roof.
Right. So that's a great example of the power of video in terms of content marketing, right? But it's got to be done correctly. You can't have 2 or 3 minutes saying, "Hey, Sullivan Power is great. Here's why you should buy from Sullivan Solar, right? Buy our products." You can't do that for 2 minutes. People will put up with less than 5 seconds of that, right?
Correct. I mean, there is a time and a place for a video that just delivers that data. If it's a top of the funnel and you're trying to get people to pay attention, that's not the time and the place for all of the data. You have to, if you want somebody to watch, you have to give them something, right? It's either got to be a great emotional story or you're giving them some type of information that can help them on their daily basis. But people don't just watch for watching these days. You have to give them something.
Yeah.
I personally believe I've been an advocate with my clients to try and get them to tell more stories. Storytelling is something that I honestly believe is in our DNA at this point. We've been telling each other stories since we sat around in caves. And if you can tell a compelling story, people will listen. They will pay attention. They will stay tuned in for longer than 30 seconds. But you have to find that story and tell that story.
But how difficult is it to kind of tease that out of somebody that you're working with, right? I mean, do some companies really struggle with coming up with those kind of ways to connect with their audience?
They do. Like with Sullivan, they didn't think that they had an emotional story. Everybody does. Everybody has some type of emotional story somewhere. You just need to find it. Mm-hmm. And yeah, you're going to have to be a little bit brave and step into this and tell that story. It kind of goes a little against the mindset of, no, we just have to, get on air and talk about how great we are. Make that change. Make that change to telling a story.
Yeah.
To be quite honest with you, nobody cares how great you are. They care about what you can do for them.
And so we're down to our final minute here. We've talked a lot about B2C companies. Is it also possible for B2B companies to make these kind of emotional connections?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I think anybody can make these emotional connections, and everybody should be making these emotional connections. That's what's going to inspire your clients to stay with you as clients. That's what's going to inspire new clients. That's what's going to keep you in the forethought of their mind when they're making these buying decisions.
Yeah, and I feel like I see IBM and Accenture, brands like that they're advertising on TV, but their audience is mostly B2B. I see them pretty successfully doing that, it feels like.
Yeah, a good example of that. Oh, we're almost out of time.
Yeah, we'll have to save it for a future show. Mike, I want to thank you for joining us today. I think we've given our audience a lot of insightful tips, so thank you for that. And we look forward to having you on again. This is This Week in Marketing with AMA San Diego on WSRadio.com, the worldwide leader in Internet talk.
Securing Our eCity Foundation is a nonprofit organization focused on cybersecurity awareness and education. Formed in 2011, their mission is to enable every San Diegan to live, work, and play safely in the cyber world. For more information, visit securingourecity.org or call 619-630-2444. securingourecity.org, 619-630-2444. securingourecity.org.
Do you want to be a professional coach? Are you in business trying to make a real difference with people you manage or work with? Have you started a coaching practice that isn't quite getting off the ground? Get the skills you need to be a successful coach today with the Coaches Training Program from Accomplishment Coaching. The Coaches Training Program will show you how to help others focus and be more fulfilled. Whether you want to improve your company's bottom line or create a thriving coaching practice, Accomplishment Coaching can give you the distinctions and practices you need to coach others effectively today. Accomplishment Coaching has spent 6 years developing a cutting-edge coaches training program that will have you ready to coach people professionally in just 12 months, and you don't have to take time off work to do it. To find out more about the Coaches Training Program, just call 1-888-548-6813. That's 1-888-548-6813.
Tired of presentations with no impact, no inspiration, and no traction? Do dull speakers have you and your team disengaged and distracted by smartphones? Christopher McAuliffe brings energy, insights, and 2 decades of experience, delivered with punch, humor, and heart. Your team will leave energized, uplifted, and with a sense of purpose. Visit ChristopherMcAuliffe.com to bring some heat to your next speaking engagement. McAuliffe. ChristopherMcAuliffe.com.
Looking to be a successful entrepreneur? The virtual assistant industry continues to be a top choice for those looking to start their own business. The problem can be how to become a virtual assistant. Many turn to the Bible of the VA industry, the book Virtual Assistant the Series, and it's the perfect guide for office managers, executive assistants, and other administrative professionals looking to make the transition from employee to successful business owner. Go to vatheseries.com to get your copy today.
Hi, Scale listener. This is David Finkel, co-host with Jeff Hoffman of Scale Your Business. I wanted to let you know that our newest book, Scale, was just released, and to encourage you to get your copy. The book will give you 7 proven principles to grow your business and get your life back. Scale will help you work less by getting your business to produce more. Get your copy online or at your local bookseller. For more information, visit us online at scaleyourbusinesstoolkit.com.